Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're reading from the Lila chapter 5 and we are on verse 121. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamam vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Wish you all a very happy Nityananda appearance day. Verse 121, Adi Lila chapter 5. With his thousands of mouths, he sings the glories of Lord Krishna, but although he always sings in that way, he does not find an end to the qualities of the Lord. Verse 122. The four Kumars hear Srimad Bhagavatam from his lips, and they in turn repeat it in the transcendental bliss of love of Godhead. Verse 123. He serves Lord Krishna assuming all the following forms: umbrella, slippers, bedding, pillow, garments, resting chair, residence, sacred thread, and throne. Verse 124. He is thus called Lord Shesha, for he has attained the ultimate end of servitude to Lord Krishna. He takes many forms for the service of Krishna, and thus he serves the Lord. Verse 125. That person of whom Lord Ananta is a kala or part of the plenary part is Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who therefore can know the pastimes of Lord Nityananda. Verse 126. From these conclusions we can know the limit of the truth of Lord Nityananda, but what glory is there in calling him Ananta? 127. But I accept it as a truth because it has been said by the devotees since he. Verse 128. They know that there is no difference between the incarnation and the source of all incarnations. Previously, Lord Krishna was regarded in the light of different principles by different people. Verse 129. Some said that Krishna was directly Lord Naranarayan, and some called him Lord Vamandev incarnate. Verse 130. Some call Lord Krishna an incarnation of Lord Kshirodakshai. All these names are true, nothing is impossible. Verse 131. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna appears, he is the shelter of all plenary parts. Thus at that time all his plenary portions join in him. Verse 132. In whatever form one knows the Lord, one speaks of him in that way. In this there is no falsity, since everything is possible in Krishna. Purport: in this connection we may mention an incident that took place between two of our sannyasis when they were preaching the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in Hyderabad. One of them stated that Hare Rama refers to Sri Balram, and the other protested that Hare Ram means Lord Ram. Ultimately, the controversy came to me, and I gave the decision that if someone says that Rama in Hare Rama is Lord Ramchandra, and someone else says that Rama in Hare Rama is Sri Balram, both are correct, because there is no difference between Sri Balram and Lord Ram. Here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find that Krishnadas Kaviraja Goswami has stated the same conclusion. Ye ye rupe jane se taha kahe sakala sambhave Krishne kichu mithya nahe. If someone calls Lord Ramchandra by the vibration Hare Ram, understanding it to mean O Lord Ramchandra, he is quite right. Similarly, if one says that Hare Ram means O Sri Balram, he is also right. Those who are aware of the Vishnu Tattva do not fight over all these details. In the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Sri Rupa Goswami has explained Krishna's being both Kshirodakshai Vishnu and Narayan in the spiritual sky, and expanding in the quadruple forms known as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He has refuted the idea that Krishna is an incarnation of Narayan. Some devotees think that Narayan is the original personality of Godhead and that Krishna is an incarnation. Even Shankaracharya in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita has accepted Narayan as the transcendental personality of Godhead, who appeared as Krishna, the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. Therefore, this matter may be difficult to understand, but the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, headed by Rupa Goswami, has established the principle of the Bhagavad Gita that everything emanates from Krishna, who says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha, I am the original source of everything. Everything includes Narayan. Therefore, Rupa Goswami in his Lagu Bhagavatamrita has established that Krishna, not Narayan, is the original personality of Godhead. In this connection, he has quoted a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.15 that states, Swashanda Rupeshwa Itarehes Swaruper Abhayar Dhyamaneshwa Anukampitatma Pravaresho Mahad Amsha Yukto He Ajo Api Jato Bhagwan Yathagni. When pure devotees of the Lord like Vasudeva are greatly disturbed by the dangerous demons like Kansa, Lord Krishna joins with all his pastime expansions such as the Lord of Vaikuntha, and although unborn becomes manifest, just as fire becomes manifest by the friction of arani wood. Arani wood is used to ignite the sacrificial fire without matches or other flame. Just as fire appears from arani wood, the Supreme Lord appears when there is friction between devotees and non-devotees. When Krishna appears, he appears in full, including within himself all his expansions such as Narayan, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Aniruddha and Pradyumna. Krishna is always integrated with his other incarnations like Nrsimhadev, Varaha, Vaman, Narnarayan, Hayagriva and Ajita. In Vrindavan, Lord Krishna sometimes exhibits the functions of such incarnations. In the Brahmanda Puran, it is said, the same personality of Godhead who is known in Vaikuntha as the four-handed Narayan, the friend of all living entities, and the milk ocean as the Lord of Shvetadvipa, and who is the best of all Purushas, appeared as the son of Nanda. In a fire, there are many sparks of different dimensions. Some of them are very big and some are small. The small sparks are compared to the living entities and the large sparks are compared to the Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. All the incarnations emanate from Krishna, and after they end their pastimes, they again merge with Krishna. Therefore, in the various Purans, Krishna is described sometimes as Narayan, sometimes as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, sometimes as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and sometimes as Vaikunthananatha, the Lord of Vaikuntha. Because Krishna is always full, Mahasankarshan is in Krishna, and since all incarnations are manifested from Moola Sankarshan, it should be understood that he can manifest either in different incarnations by his supreme will, even in the presence of Krishna. Great sages have therefore glorified the Lord by different names. Thus, when the original person, the source of all incarnations, is sometimes described as an incarnation, there is no discrepancy. Verse 133, therefore Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has exhibited to everyone all the pastimes of all various incarnations. Verse 134, thus Lord Nityananda has unlimited incarnations. In transcendental emotion, he calls himself a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Verse 135, sometimes he serves Lord Chaitanya as his guru, sometimes as his friend, and sometimes as his servant, just as Lord Balaram played with Lord Krishna in these three different moods in Vraja. Verse 136, playing like a bull, Lord Balaram fights with Krishna head to head, and sometimes Lord Krishna massages the feet of Lord Balaram. Verse 137, he considers himself a servant and knows Krishna to be his master. Thus he regards himself as a fragment of his plenary portion. Verse 138, acting just like ordinary boys, they played like roaring bulls as they fought each other, and they imitated the calls of various animals. Purports. This and the following quotation are from Bhagavatam 10.11.40 and 10.15.14. Verse 139. Sometimes when Lord Krishna's elder brother Lord Balaram felt tired after playing and lay his head on the lap of a cowherd boy, Lord Krishna himself served him by massaging his feet. Verse 140. Who is this mystic power and where has she come from? Is she a demigod or a demoness? She must be the illusory energy of my master Lord Krishna, for who else can bewilder me? Purport. The playful pastimes of Lord caused suspicion in the mind of Lord Brahma, and therefore Lord Brahma, to test Krishna's lordship, stole all the Lord's calves and cowherd boys with his own mystic power. Sri Krishna responded, however, by replacing all the calves and boys in the field. Lord Balaram's thought of astonishment at such wonderful retaliation are recorded in this verse. This is from Bhagavatam 10.13.37. Verse 141. What is the value of a throne to Lord Krishna? The masters of the various planetary systems accept the dust of his lotus feet on their crowned heads. That dust makes the holy place sacred. And even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lakshmi, and I myself, who are all the portions of his plenary portion, eternally carry that dust on our heads. Purport. When the Kauravas, to flatter Baldev so that he will become their ally, spoke ill of Krishna, Lord Baldev became angry and spoke this verse. This is from Bhagavatam 10.68.37. Verse 142. Lord Krishna alone is the supreme controller and all others are his servants. They dance as he makes them to do so. Verse 143. Thus Lord Chaitanya is the only controller, all others are his associates or servants. Verse 144 and 145. His elders such as Lord Nityananda, Advaitacharya and Srivas Thakur, as well as his other devotees, whether his juniors, equals or superiors, are all his associates who help him in his pastimes. Lord Gauranga fulfills his aims with their help. Verse 146. Sri Advaitacharya and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who are plenary parts of the Lord, are his principal associates. With these two, the Lord performs his pastimes in various ways. Verse 147. Lord Advaitacharya is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Lord Chaitanya accepts him as his preceptor, Advaitacharya is a servant of the Lord. Purport. Lord Chaitanya always offered respects to Advaitacharya as he would to his father, because Advaita was even older than his father. Yet Advaita Prabhu always considered him as a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Sri Advaita Prabhu and Ishwara Puri, Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master, were both disciples of Madhavendra Puri, who was also the spiritual master of Nityananda Prabhu. Thus Advaita Prabhu, as Lord Chaitanya's spiritual uncle, was always to be respected, because one should always respect one's spiritual master's god brothers as one respects one's spiritual master. Because of all these considerations, Sri Advaita Prabhu was superior to Lord Chaitanya, yet Advaita Prabhu considered himself Lord Chaitanya's subordinate. Verse 148. I cannot describe the truth of Advaita Acharya. He has delivered the entire world by making Lord Krishna descend. Verse 149. Lord Nityananda Swarup formerly appeared as Lakshman and served Lord Ramchandra as his younger brother. Purport. Among the sannyasis of Shankar Sampradaya, there are different names for brahmacharis. Each sannyasi has some assistants known as brahmacharis, who are called by different names according to the names of the sannyasi. Among such brahmacharis, there are 4 names: Swarupa, Anand, Prakash and Chaitanya. Nityananda Prabhu maintained himself as a brahmachari. He never took sannyas. As a brahmachari, his name was Nityananda Swarup, and therefore the sannyasi under whom he was living must have been from the tirthas or ashrams of Shankar Sampradaya, because one of the names of the assistant brahmachari of such a sannyasi is Swarupa. Verse 150. The activities of Lord Rama were full of suffering, but Lakshman of his own accord tolerated that suffering. Verse 151, as a younger brother, he could not stop Lord Rama from his resolution, and so he remained silent, although unhappy in his mind. Verse 152, when Lord Krishna appeared, the Balaram became his elder brother to serve him to his heart's content and make him enjoy all sorts of happiness. Verse 153, Sri Rama and Sri Lakshman, who are plenary portions of Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram respectively, entered into them at the time of Krishna's and Balaram's appearance. With reference to Vishnu Dharmottara, the Laghu Bhagavatamrita explains that Rama is an incarnation of Vasudev's, Lakshman is an incarnation of Sankarshan, Bharat is an incarnation of Pradyumna, and Shatrughna is an incarnation of Aniruddha. The Padma Puran describes that Ramchandra is Narayan, and that Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughna are respectively Shesha, Chakra and Shankha, the conch shell in the hand of Narayan. In the Ram Gita of the Skanda Puran, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughna have been described as the triple attendees of Lord Ram. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.